If you clicked on this video thinking I'm going to disrespect any of the two, then you're in the wrong place. What I am going to do, however, is let you know what Asian women might be thinking about white men specifically, so you're aware of what some, if not most, of these women think. But before that, let me give you my perspective on the dating dynamic between Asian women and white men. Personally, I don't care about what a man and a woman of a different race choose to do. It has no bearing on my life, and if another race was to come into my country and take all the women, then they can have them. I really don't care. I have my right hand in lube, so I'll be alright. And there are fleshlights for sale, so you guys can have them if you want and take the stress and headache that comes with them. Now that we're clear on that, as it relates to Asian women specifically, I believe there is an over-fetishization and misconception about these women that we need to address. Let's talk about the over-fetishization first, because I also have a fetish for Asian women, if I too say so myself. If any of you guys have watched hentai prawn, or the Asian category on Pornhub, you know why men would want to be in some Asian Guts brothers. It's damn near one of the best categories to watch if you typically want to see femininity and submissiveness. So I'm with you guys on that, and if I had access to them where I lived, I would at least want one Asian wet vice grip wrapped tightly around my salami and choke the living cream out of him, if you know what I mean. Those cute soft voices, moans and facial expressions alone are enough to make men bust gallons without beating up that sweet, sweet thing. Unlike other races of women that are more rough and vulgar in bed, I understand why men would want to bust up inside an Asian woman and leave her barefooted and pregnant. Now, as it relates to the misconceptions about Asian women, it is clear as day that you men honestly believe that most of these women will treat you better. I don't know where this came from, but Asian women also file for divorce, in case you guys didn't know. Asian women will also take away your kids and extract your resources in the form of child support and alimony, depending on the laws of the country, if you guys weren't aware. A good example of this is a YouTuber named Tech Lead. If you guys don't know Tech Lead, he is an Asian YouTuber living in the States, and his ex-wife, who he brought from Japan to America if I'm not mistaken, divorce-graked him to Kingdom Come and ran back to Japan with his son. He has to be paying her a ton of money in child support to this day. And to make matters worse, he recently went to Japan to see his son, and the broad got the man arrested so he couldn't get in contact with his own seed. But this is the problem with men that I can't stand. You will see deplorable things happening to a man by a woman, and you'll just brush it off because it isn't happening to you. This is why men continue to get effed by women, because there is no unity. It's the every man for themselves mentality that works against men. Like, as an example, a divorced man will rarely ever warn the men around him of his bad experiences getting dragged by his ex-wife in the family courts. And if he does try to tell you guys what he's going through, his family, friends, the ops, monkey simps and goofballs will shame that man into silence. So young men never get to hear the message, and that's how the dating, relationship, and marriage cycle continues due to ignorance. Women are the opposite. They stick together even if they are enemies when a man tries to take advantage of them. You know what? Let me go deep with this one, so you guys understand what I'm saying. Even your own mother, sisters, female nieces, aunties, and grandmothers will side with your ex-wife that is divorced, graping you to Kingdom Come and help her to extract her resources. Your own flesh and blood will betray you to protect the sisterhood, and that is an ice-cold RP that some of you guys who are watching this video learned the hard way. Your own mother and sister will become the ops and sell you out to your ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. That's why I will forever say XXs are evil. And until I get proof that overwhelmingly proves I'm wrong, my mind is fixed and will not be changed. Anyways, I'm pointing out that Asian women are still women at the end of the day. They will destroy you if given the opportunity. No race of women is inherently better than the other. They just have different methods of manipulation to get what they want from you, and that's it. And by the way, the Asian woman also comes with her family, just so you know. So if you're planning on marrying an Asian chick, most of them will require you to take care of their family, and wherever she goes, her family goes as well. So if you're financially prepared to take care of an entire family, then go ahead. All I have to say to you guys is some of you will have good experiences until that stops, and some of you will have bad experiences dating Asian women abroad. But always remember, they are women at the end of the day who are just as selfish and do not have your best interest at heart most times as the other women you're running from. So keep that in mind. I would advise you to put them into their proper perspective and realize they're nothing special. They're like any other woman who may or may not treat you well, depending on the length of the relationship. So keep your guard up at all times and take these damn women off a pedestal. Tap the like button if you are irate and fuming right now. I know you guys want to smoke hopium and believe Asian women will be your salvation, but that won't happen for the vast majority of you. Always remember that their men have problems with them too. So what makes you think you'd be any different? This article I'm about to cover will shed some light on the mind of an Asian woman who dates white men. This article is by the Sydney Morning Herald, and the title is "Because I am Small and Asian, I am Fetishized by Some White Men." Grab a snack and let's dive into this article. Earlier this year, I went on a date with a man who told me he had a thing for Asian women. We were sitting across from each other at a table in a fancy restaurant, and he stood up to do a head-to-toe scan of me. "Your body is just so soft and perky and tanned," he said. I told myself to run. Here was yet another man with what is not so jokingly referred to as yellow fever, the lazy and discriminatory hypersexualization and fetishization of Asian women, primarily by white men, solely based on race. When I tried to break it off with him, he texted, "I hate you." Thankfully, there are thousands of gorgeous Japanese, Chinese, and Korean girls in Sydney, so I will be okay. This is not unusual. I have spent most of my adult life expending psychological and emotional energy fending off men like him. And don't tell me you can't help who you're attracted to. Yellow fever is not a preference. It's a racial prejudice. Alright, gents, here are some things I've noticed so far. Number 1, she sounds like she has been indoctrinated and drank gallons of the womanist Kool-Aid. And number 2, you can't please women or make them happy. If she wasn't getting men interested in her, I guarantee this broad would have been complaining, "Where are all the good men?" And when the opposite happens and men actually want this woman, she is upset that they really like the fact that she's Asian. The whole point of interracial dating is that the man or woman has a preference for that race or a fetish of some sort and wants to be with a person from that race because of that. It is what it is. I don't see the problem as long as it's healthy and not a toxic obsession. You just can't make this ish up. Men, just focus on yourselves and leave these women alone. Let's continue. I have a small body. I have an Asian face. Women like me are handcuffed to a double bind. We have to fight off men who infantilize us because of our small bodies, and who also believe the Asian face carries some special gene that makes us soft-spoken, gentle, and non-confrontational. This is both oppressive and racist. I continue to be astounded by the number of white men who still see me and immediately assume I am submissive, docile, compliant, accommodating, sweet in the kitchen, tiger in the bedroom. My body is viewed as a literal and symbolic site upon which to construct their fantasies of the perfect Asian lover. The pernicious perception that most young Asian women have petite, childlike bodies is not necessarily untrue. What's frightening is how easily these men enforce their narratives on us. It's a painful effrontery, not a compliment. These guys expect something of us and from us, based on their myth about what Asian women are, and when we don't meet those expectations, they have the power to so easily hurt us. Equally painful is realizing the extent to which the very narrow representations of Asian women in the West have created the idea in the minds of these men that because of our perceived submissiveness, they can be afforded a sense of ownership and possession of us. I recently entered my 30s. I had a long and complicated history with white men who found me attractive. However, I have never quite understood the underlying drivers of their attraction to Asian women, per se, over women of other racial backgrounds. Alright, gents, it's clear as day that this woman is bitter and hurt and most likely a womanist. Look, the fact that this woman is 30 and still can't get a man to commit says more about her than the men. So again, I keep telling you guys to stop thinking these women are better. Obviously they're not, and she's trying to give you guys the game on how some of them, if not most of them, really think when you white guys want to marry and lock down Asian women thinking it's going to be better. Get it together, guys, and understand that they're nothing special. It's all in your head from what television and movies have portrayed and programmed you to believe. Are some of it true? Yes, but most of what you've seen has been either exaggerated or packaged to sell you guys a dream. Let's continue. Sometimes I have felt I have found a person who loved my body as a carrier of the person within, only to realize that, to him, my body was simply a fetish and a curiosity. My body is viewed as a literal and symbolic site upon which to construct their fantasies of the perfect Asian lover. With each new romantic partner, I need to make the same anxious assessment. Are you interested in me because of who I am, or because of the shade of my skin and the Asian face I'm wearing? I am never sure how to respond. Beneath what is projected onto me is my relationship to my Asian heritage. I have to fight against the Taiwanese cultural indoctrination that to be self-sacrificing and selfless is the ultimate way of being for a woman. I have found these men unwilling to confront their own biases and prejudices. They operate under a system of racial stratification, seeing themselves as superior, leaving Asian women to take on the disproportionate burden of fulfilling, resisting, or negotiating their stereotypes. I wonder whether I will go through my life in this country appending stereotypes. It is not my job, or the job of other Asian women, to do that. These men should scrutinize their so-called preferences and work towards modifying racially unjust and untrue perceptions. I am not here for their education, sexual or otherwise. I blocked the man who sent me the aggressive, race-based text when I rejected him. I hope he examines and confronts his prejudices. Only then will women from Asian backgrounds be respected as much as we should and treated as whole human beings, not accessories that embody derogatory fantasies. And to that, I say die alone. Gents, just focus on yourself and leave these women alone. You can't win no matter what race or where in the world you go, east or the west. Most of you guys are going to take an L with the modern woman. As you can see, this woman can't get over the fact that white men specifically want her because she's Asian. You really can't make this ish up. I know a lot of black men who want white women solely because of what she described, and I don't hear the white women that they are dating complain that black men only want them because they are curious about what it's like to be with a white woman. If you really stop and think about why men interracially date, it's because of the curiosity, proximity, and perceived treatment from the other race of woman. That's typically why men interracially date, and there's nothing wrong with that. The same can be said about women who interracially date, but we all know money plays a bigger role in that relationship dynamic. I know some guys will still come in here and say, if you go to their country, things will be better. Well, go ahead, hope strategist. I won't stop you or deter you from chasing love abroad. My message will always stay the same. The best thing for men in today's dating climate is either going your own way, living the free agent lifestyle, or going monk mode. I'm living and dying on that principle regardless of whether women change and return to relationships. And if you go to a foreign country and it works out for you, congrats. Just understand that a successful marriage is when both people have regular intimacy, don't cheat or have a toxic relationship, and stay together for a lifetime. That's how a successful marriage is measured. So you might be winning right now, but you never know what can happen in the future, so don't start celebrating yet. The game isn't over until the Grim Reaper comes for that ass. I rest my case. Subscribe and share the video with a man that needs to see the truth. We need to get this message to more men who believe dating overseas will automatically give them what they want. If you want to donate to the channel, the links to our PayPal and Cash App are in the description box below. And lastly, if you have any story you want to share that can help another man in relationships and life, the link to our email is in the description box also. Remember, gents, not everything that glitters is gold.